Hello, I'm a lover of horror games and horror movies, but I think more than that, I'm a studier of horror as a genre, and so certainly if you're interested, I seem to always keep these books on hand, but the Philosophy of Horror and Danse Macabre are really good books to read to learn more about horror as a genre, and I'll probably talk more about horror as a genre, but in this one I wanted to talk about effective horror and things I think you can do to make things scarier. So this is all my opinion and just things that I've observed, but I figured it was worth sharing. So one of the things that I think really helps create a scary atmosphere is when you have like ghosts or haunted houses as opposed to monsters. And the reason for that is that monsters can be killed. Ghosts in haunted houses can't really be killed. It gives you a lot more fear that, after that movie stops, the ghost didn't go away. And certainly I really like the movies and things that sort of tease you with this, there's some really lame where it's like, guess what, the enemy's not dead anymore, which I think is kind of lame, but a haunted house, the house still stands. I guess if you make it implode, then that's less scary, but maybe, you have someone building a new house on the same location or something like that, or, the ghosts, you think they're defeated, but really they're just haunting another place or something like that. Because I think to some extent one of the great sort of joys, I guess it's hard to call it a joy, but one of the things that I love about horror is, the movie ends and you're still scared. You're still, looking around the corners and things like that. So I think creating something that can't be killed, really works well. And then sort of a corollary to that, I like the idea of creating something that doesn't really obey rules, things that you can't understand, and that sort of inherent mystery to your haunt or whatever, I think creates some fear. And one of the movies that again, didn't really, wasn't Ghost or whatever, but I think Prometheus did that really well. I'm certainly probably the biggest Prometheus fan. I absolutely adore the movie. But the thing about Prometheus is the aliens, you can't really understand them, which I think makes sense, right? Because it's they're an alien civilization, they have all sorts of different life experiences, and so you can't understand them, and even the monsters are so fluid and they don't obey any rules, they just transform. And when I watched the movie for the first time, I was literally on the edge of my seat, just like that, well, with the 3D glasses and IMAX the entire time, just because I just wanted to know what happened, and by leaning forward, maybe the light would hit my eyes sooner and I wouldn't have to wait, but the monsters were transforming and everything crazy was happening, and the aliens are so alien. You can't understand them or their motivations, and yeah, I really like Prometheus, but that was meant to be an example of just ways you can sort of incorporate these ideas without using ghosts, if ghosts aren't your thing. But the another thing that I think is really important is I like a body count. I like people to die in horror movies, which my wife was making fun of me, saying I wanted children to die or wanted cops to die or whatever in the Conjuring or something. But to me it seems like the I just changed colors because my monitor was turned off. That wasn't a ghost. Just looking at the picture of myself, I changed. So anyway, but the getting back to what I was saying, the idea is that it shows there's a real threat and not just a perceived threat. So if you have a ghost and all the ghost can do is, move objects, like, oh, whoa, it's a flying paper cutter, and maybe it stabs into the wall, but, maybe that's kind of threatening, but, if it stabs into a person, then there's a malicious spirit, and it has the capability to kill. Because, again, with these rules, you don't know, what rules they have to obey. Can ghosts move paper cutters? Can they stab people? Can they possess people? Can they do, I don't know. But, you have to define the rules, and I think defining the rules, this thing is a threat by killing off some people, is helpful to creating that tension and horror. Another thing I like is the idea that, there's no sacred cows. Killing off your main character is potentially a really interesting, a really sort of good reversal. I think one of the Hostel movies did this well. Like, you thought that this guy or this lady, I can't remember which one it was the protagonist, and then, oh, maybe it's someone else, and I thought that was really interesting, and I think that works really well. Or even, killing off your protagonist in the end, that can be very threatening, I think. So I think, the idea of not having a sacred cow, not having rules you have to follow, and certainly if you watch Game of Thrones or read the books, I've read the books, saw all the episodes, one of the great things is there's no sacred cows in Game of Thrones. Every character, can and maybe will be killed. I mean, they do a good job in The Walking Dead. I think even more so the graphic novels than the show, but Rick's not going to die on either the show or the comic, because it's about Rick. But imagine a Walking Dead where Rick could die. That would be even more tense. And so, sort of applying this back to Neverending Nightmares, we have essentially a haunted house, although it's a nightmare, psychological haunted house, which I think, I don't think that really lessens the impact of the creepiness and the hauntedness. But certainly, probably at the end of the game there'll be no more haunting. But I think just because it's about more than scaring, it's about that psychological aspect, it's important. And another thing is, like, dream sequences. Like, I hate it when you're watching a movie and then you're like, oh, that was all just a dream. We just wasted a bunch of your time. That's what I always feel like, is like, oh, everything you watched was just a dream. And, like, to me, it feels like a waste of time. If you're setting something up and you're invested in it, and then it's like, just joking, dream. So, I mean, at least for Neverending Nightmares, I think we're doing a good job of setting it up as a nightmare. And, the real puzzle is not, well, the real puzzle is what the reality is, which I think is sort of an interesting idea. If you've only lived and experienced in a dream, what is the real world outside? Sort of an interesting idea, an interesting puzzle. And then the other thing is, we can't really kill the main character off. Well, we can and we can't. The nice part is, we can kill anyone we want and then just rewrite it, and oh, you're in another dream. So it gives us a lot of flexibility for achieving our narrative goals through that structure of a series of nightmares. So hopefully the game will be cool and really scary, and definitely I'd be interested in hearing any other sort of ideas people have to really sort of amp up the level of horror.